So welcome to Dive In. For those of you who are new, put up your hand quickly if this is your first time. Yeah, there we go. A couple of people really new. Welcome. So my name's Dom, and I'm the author of Diving in the Inner Ocean, which is really a book, and this is a space about inquiry, about this wonderful practice of inquiry, this way that we have of getting to know ourselves. It's so important. When you think about it, we've been thinking a lot about this in the Dive In team recently, like what's so important about inquiry. And, you know, just as I was saying on the course yesterday, you know, just like you need to know how your body works, well, you need to know how your mind and your psyche and your whole inner world works, right? How can we really go through life without knowing ourselves or understanding ourselves? And inquiry is really the practice that helps us do that, helps us get close to ourselves and to find out about ourselves, not in a theoretical way, but directly, immediately from what we're actually in touch with and what we're discovering. So Dive In is this is a 90-minute session. It's designed to be for all people of all different levels. So there are people here completely new to inquiry, and there are people who've been inquiring for, decades. It's a place where we get to talk about the ins and outs of it, the actual technicalities of the practice. And it is a public space. So you want to remember that this is a public space. We don't know everybody who could be here. Anybody is welcome to show up in it. I think it takes a certain person to come along and want to sit here and join us looking at their inner world, but you never know. So, you want to be mindful about what you share, in light of that. We are recording the meeting, and we use the recordings of the teaching and the exercise that we'll do at the beginning. Those get posted on the Dive In website, so you can actually go and see a lot of the past meetings there. And yeah, so we share those and make them more generally available. And extracts of the whole thing can sometimes be used just to help make people aware of inquiry and for educational purposes. So be aware of that too. Yeah, what else do I want to say just as we begin? Yeah, so we're going to do a little guided practice now. And then I'm going to do a little bit of a talk, a little bit of teaching, kind of on a particular aspect of inquiry. And then you'll get to go into groups and do a very short little exercise. So you'll do a little work with someone else. You'll find yourself in a breakout room with another person, and you'll each get to do a little bit of inquiry to explore the particular angle we're looking at. And each Dive In with Dom, we sort of focus on a different angle. And then we'll come back and have some discussion and sharing and see what we learned. So that's really the format of our evening. Or for some of you, morning. So let's begin. And we'll begin. We know inquiry is about exploring our inner world. So let's turn towards our inner world. And just take a deep breath into your belly, filling your belly and then your chest. Let it out with a sigh. And just sense yourself here, sitting in your chair at this time of your day, getting a little more in touch, a little more conscious of what's here for you. And as you begin, given the theme of our evening, I want you to notice your thoughts. Just notice your mind and your thoughts. Is there a little voice there chattering away? Are you having sort of various thoughts about what's going on here? Various ideas about it, about what might happen, expectations or assumptions? How is it to just notice that? Just notice that mind. Don't have to get rid of it, right? This is part of your experience. You don't have to totally go along with it right now, but you can see, oh yeah, there's my mind, busy with certain things. You got certain things on your mind. What is on your mind? You ask yourself that question, what's on my mind? Might be certain things that are occupying your mind. So we're just taking a moment to notice that. It's where a lot of us spend a lot of our time, in our mind, with our thoughts, listening to the thoughts. And so now, you don't have to leave it. Let your mind be there. Notice that you are aware of your mind. Right? You can be conscious of it. You can recognize what it's busy with, how it is. So your consciousness is more than your mind, more than your thoughts, let's say. You're conscious of your thoughts, but you're also conscious of other things. Maybe you're conscious of how you're feeling right now. So just notice that. How are you feeling? Whatever's there. You might be tired, you might be curious, you might be irritated from something that happened earlier, or anxious about what you're going to find, or delighted to be feeling intimate with yourself. So you can just be conscious of how you're feeling, noticing that. And then bring your consciousness to your butt on the chair, the sensation of your seat, the contact with the chair, that immediate felt sensation. You can be conscious of that, right? Conscious of it, recognizing it, knowing it for what it is as it's happening right there. You're not just sensing it, you're also knowing what it is. You can tell. So actually, this is also a capacity of your mind. Your mind is knowing these things, discriminating these things. And then come to the sensations of your feet on the ground. Sensing into your feet. So we always say sensing into your feet, sensing into your legs. Feel the contact with the ground. So do that. But also notice that you are conscious of that sensation. You can be conscious of it. You can know what it is. You can feel, oh yeah, that's my feet. That's this feeling of firm groundedness, or the smoothness of the floor under my feet, or the sensation of my socks. So you can tell, you can recognize and discriminate what's arising, even though we're talking about a sensation. So all of this, in a way, is mind, knowing, consciousness. And now bring your attention to your lower belly and get in touch with whatever's happening there. If you sense that area, a few fingers down from your belly button, that sort of general lower belly area, or the calf point in particular, if you know what that is. And it's fine if you don't, just sense the lower belly area. What are you conscious of there, or what do you become conscious of as you sense it? Maybe sensing the sensation of your belly wall moving as you breathe. The rise and fall, or the pressure of your belt, or warmth of your hand. Maybe you sense tingling or energy or presence, space. Maybe just your dinner, your breakfast. So whatever it is, whatever you're conscious of in your belly, we're going to take a few moments and just hang out with that. Just staying conscious of it, staying sensing it. Letting yourself concentrate and settle. You can let go of everything else for a while and just bring your attention to sensing the sensations of your lower belly. If your attention wanders off and gets caught up with what you're thinking about, with your mind in some way, just notice that and come back to sensing, back to the lower belly. And so take one more breath into your belly. And with the exhale, you can release the focus, release the concentration. Notice again your seat, your feet. So you have the sensations of your lower body. And then let your attention come again to your mind. So how is your mind now? How was your mind during the short meditation? So if it was busy and lots of thinking, say hi to that. What if you kind of welcome that in? Say, oh, hello. What were you thinking about? What was your mind busy with? And what's it like to kind of turn towards it in this way, in this friendly way? And if your mind is very quiet, maybe it feels still and open, maybe empty, silent, deep, or dark, clear, spacious. And notice that. So there's no preference here. It's not like one mind is better than the other, one condition of mind. There are all ways that our mind can appear. Occupied with things, thinking, thoughts, or ideas, inner dialogue, or scenarios, or what am I going to say, practicing what I'm going to say. Yeah, that can happen, right? And sometimes it's open, empty, spacious, or still. So what if you were to get curious about your mind? Often meditators make an enemy of the mind, right? Got to get rid of the mind, got to have it be quiet and silent, and all those thoughts are a bad thing. Well, who says? How do you know? You want to kind of be curious about our minds. So, you can sense your arms and legs, sensing the sensation of your arms and legs. And then add listening, including the sounds, the soundscape around you. And when you're ready to, you can open your eyes. Begin including looking, sensing, looking, listening. Really being in touch with yourself, in touch with your experience. So just notice where you're at now. How's your experience shifted compared to when you started? Are you in a different place, same place? How is it to entertain this interest in your mind? So the mind really does get such a, it really gets a bad rap in many spiritual kind of teachings. right? We got to go beyond the mind. It's all just illusion. It's just noise. It's ego, right? And it's, on one hand, it's true. There is a whole, a whole lot that is beyond just the thoughts and ideas of our minds. Our mind itself is a whole lot more than that. What we usually think of as mind. When we start some kind of work, what a lot of people think at the beginning, the mind is just the thoughts. It's that voice that you walk around with, that little inner dialogue, thinking about things. And, that's one manifestation of it, but only one. So today we just want to shine a little light on it, just a little light on the mind. And we can broadly highlight two two facets or two sides to our minds. Right? And the first is that kind of immediate consciousness, right? So you have, as you're looking at the screen, you're experiencing the screen, you're seeing the screen is the screen, right? But you know that, right? You know it's a screen, there's a computer, there's Sue and there's Leo, and I know those faces, and right? So you can see and you can know. You're knowing and recognizing and discriminating your experience as it's happening, right? Can you see that? Like anything that you look at, you see it and you know what it is, right? It's not just like nothing. It's the plant. The plant is a plant, right? And you can tell that. And this really pervades all of our experience. Like if you're feeling something, you're feeling happy, you can tell you're feeling happy, right? You can tell it's happiness. You can tell that happiness is different than sadness, right? So that's all mind. Mind is involved in that kind of knowing, right? And in the diamond approach, we call that basic knowing, right? So it's that basic knowing, just that really basic fundamental knowing that, when you see something, you can tell, you're conscious of what it is. You have the ability to know what it is. And in our inquiry, this is, right, that's vital. What are we doing? We're getting to know our inner world, getting to know our inner experience, right? Becoming conscious of it. These are all different ways of saying the same thing. Becoming conscious of it, discriminating it, knowing it, recognizing it. So inquiry uses that direct, immediate mind, that direct, immediate knowing of your experience as you're having it in the moment, the live, direct recognition of, wow, yes, I'm awake to what's going on, and yeah, I can tell what it is. I might not even have a word for it yet, but I can still recognize, oh, there's something there. Right? I might find, oh, I don't know exactly what I feel, but it feels kind of soft, and it's not exactly like sadness. It's not exactly, so even the fact that you can tell what it isn't, right, means you can tell something about it. So this capacity for knowing is happening right there. It's going on all the time, all the time. We're knowing what we are experiencing. Some knowing, some recognition of our consciousness or of our experience. From the most ordinary thing to just knowing, oh, that's my friend, or that's my partner, or that's my breakfast, right? You can tell, right? So there's that kind of knowing, that kind of direct recognition. And then mixed in with that are all the ideas and beliefs and assumptions and expectations that we have about things. All the accumulated experience and knowledge and understanding and thoughts and ideas and beliefs and convictions that we have about things. And those too are a form of mind. Right? And actually, that's more commonly what people think of as, their mind, their knowledge, right? The things you know. It's not just the immediate thing you can tell in the moment, the immediate consciousness. It's, everything that you know about it, right? I can see the flower. I know, oh, it's that kind. It's a chrysanthemum. I got it at the market the other day, right? So there's all this information that I know about it that is not exactly right there in the experience itself, but is something that I know, right? It's ideas and memories and associations and all this kind of thing. Right? So this too, this whole accumulation of knowing, of knowledge, is also part of our mind. And since that's kind of what we ordinarily think of mind, we sometimes call that ordinary knowledge. So there's the basic knowing, the fundamental in the moment consciousness, and then there's all the understanding and the ideas and thoughts and beliefs and accumulated knowledge that we have about that, which is often kind of overlaid with it, so that they're both kind of happening there, right? So when you see someone, there's both your immediate recognition of, oh, look at them in the moment, that's them. That's how they look, and that's the state that they're in, and they look very happy to see me, and, and so that's all right there. And there's also everything that you know about them from your past experience with them. I saw them last week. We had a really nice time, except they did this thing that annoyed me, and actually they have that bad habit that I wish they didn't do. And, all the things we know and think, the opinions and beliefs and judgments and expectations that we have about them. They, my friend, they should always support me. They'll always agree with what I say, right? We have all kinds of expectations about things. This is my computer and it should always work. That's an idea I have about it, right? It doesn't always go like that. Right? Our ideas and expectations are often, we're totally not conscious of them, right? We just think, oh, that's how things should work, or that's what should happen. And it's only when they don't, things break down, our flights get delayed. That's been happening a lot recently, right? And suddenly you're like, oh, the world isn't exactly what I thought it was. Right? I had ideas, I had expectations about how things would work, and it's not going exactly like that. So what's in our direct, immediate conscious experience might be different than the ideas and beliefs and expectations that we have. We would have thought about a pandemic, right? Nobody thought of that. Nobody was expecting that. Nobody thought that's how the world would go and all the things that happened in it. Right? And yet there it was. Right? Suddenly we were dealing with a reality that we didn't know. We didn't have any ideas about, or in fact, we did have all kinds of ideas about, and they were suddenly being contradicted. So this operates from the smallest little thing to the biggest thing in our lives. And when we're inquiring, right, this is very much at play within our inner worlds in ways that we often don't see. Right? So you might have a feeling, oh, I see I'm feeling angry about something. Okay. Well, what ideas do I have about that? I think I shouldn't be angry about things. I don't think anger is a good thing to be experiencing. Nobody likes it when I'm angry. I'm such an angry person. I'm angry all the time. All of those are ideas. Those are ideas lodged in my mind that come up when and overlay the experience, the direct experience of anger, and actually color and shape what I do with it, how I relate to it, whether I think it's worth exploring or inquiring into or not. Right? I think it's a bad thing. We should get rid of it. if you think, oh no, actually, I think anger is a really interesting thing that I need to just open up and understand something, the whole way you'll relate to it will be different, right? The way you'll turn towards that part of your experience would be very different. So when you look at it, every single element of your experience, I was going to say every thought, let's come to thoughts about thoughts in a minute, but like every feeling, every sensation, you know, you have ideas about it. You have assumptions about what it means, where it'll go, whether it's okay. You think you know what it is. And what that thinking that you know is just the whole accumulation of things from the past. It's things that you've learned in the past. It might be true. It might be useful, right? But if you're not aware of it, it will shape and color and direct the flow of your inner experience in ways that you just won't know. You won't be aware of. You'll just take for granted. So our minds are really something they're wondrous. They're wondrous. It's just wondrous capacity to be conscious, to discriminate, to know, to learn, to understand. It's incredible, right? And like any wonderful thing like that, it's kind of, it has its advantages and it has its, what's the right word? I don't say it's not disadvantages, but you know, it's the things that are tricky about it, right? The things that make it tricky, the ways we get tangled with it. So at some points in our inquiry, when we're inquiring, it can be useful every now and again to just stop and check, well, what are our ideas about this? You know, what do I think about this? What sort of convictions are showing up here? What do I think? What am I thinking about myself here, if it's something to do with yourself? What am I thinking about the other? All of those words, ideas, beliefs, convictions, assumptions, expectations, any of those, like, what are my expectations here? And it can go from simple things like you sense into the sensation of your leg and you go, well, that's just my leg. There's nothing more to that. Bingo. That's an assumption. Guess what? Right? Your experience of your leg, God knows what it can be like, right? If you actually were to come to the direct, immediate experience and describe it very intimately, exactly what's happening there, right? And then just stay with it and keep exploring it and discovering it, guarantee you that within 5 minutes, you won't even know what you're experiencing, right? Who knows where it'll go. But instead we just go, oh, it's a leg. Yeah, I know what that is. Oh, that's just the kind of person I am. I get pissed off about that, or I get sad about that. I'm that kind of person. We just think, oh, we know what that is. Yeah. So we don't look further. So the way that the knowing, all this accumulated knowing, one of the ways it works is it just shuts down our inquiry. It stops us from being curious, from being open and going, oh, well, maybe there is something to really discover here. Something that I have no idea about, that I've never imagined. So just think about that. How about that? What if every experience has something to discover that you have no idea about? Interesting possibility. So let's take a moment, and I think it's a nice time to go and try it out. Go and take it out for a spin and have a look at this a little for yourself. And so what I'd like you to do is a sort of kind of repeating question, right? So you're going to find yourself in a room with one other person. Start off and say hi, right? Remember that whatever they say is, you want to keep it confidential. We don't share what we hear other people talk about. That's their inquiry, and we're respectful of it. And then the first person will ask the second person a question. And they'll say, tell me something you're experiencing, right? And you say, or actually, I want to say it slightly, yeah, tell me something you're experiencing. That's okay. And the person who is then answering will say something that they're experiencing. And it could be a sensation, it might be a feeling, it might be something in your life that's going on for you right now. Okay, it might be an issue, it might be a state of presence, it might be anything. So tell me something you're experiencing, and you just mention something that you are experiencing now, that's around, something that's around. So tell me something you're experiencing. And then they'll say to you, tell me an idea you have about that. Tell me an idea, or tell me some ideas you have about that. And you want to mention then, just mention, look and see, what are some of the ideas that crop up? Ideas or expectations or thoughts or beliefs, right? You can mention one or two or three, couple, whatever sort of comes bubbling up for you. You just want to see, what are my ideas about this thing? What do I think about it? And then take a moment and they'll say, thank you. And then they'll ask you the first question again, tell me something you're experiencing. And you mention something else, anything else that you're experiencing. Feeling, sensation, situation. And then they say, tell me some ideas you have about that. And again, you just mention, just see what comes, some beliefs, ideas, associations, something in your mind about this thing, right? And you just see how it is to see that. So you'll carry on like that, going back and forth between the two questions, mentioning something, and then looking at the ideas and beliefs you have about it, and then mentioning something else, and then looking at the ideas and beliefs you have about it. And you just keep going like this. And you'll do that for, what should we say? Let's give you 7 minutes to go back and forth like that. Let's see how we for time. Yeah, no, that'll be too long. Let's say 5. Okay, 5 minutes. And then you swap over, right? And you go the other way. So the person who was answering will then ask the other person for 5 minutes. Tell me something you're experiencing. Tell me some ideas you have about it. Okay, so you'll do that for 5 minutes each. That'll take 10 minutes in total. And then you want to take an extra 5 minutes and just discuss between you, what's it like? How has it been to become more aware of the ideas that you have? How's it affected you? Right? Just whatever, however that's affected you, just have a look and see. How was that experience for you? Okay. So you just reflect on how that was, what you learned, whether it was, how it went. So that'll be another 5. So the whole thing is 15 minutes. And then we come right back. So 15 minutes, because it's such a short session, we'll add a couple of extra minutes. So let's say 15, let's give it another 5, call it 20 minutes so you can go to the bathroom or do anything else you need to do, get some water. And we'll resume in 20 minutes, which will be at 7:32 UK time, and whatever that is for you in your local time, 20 minutes from now. Oh, welcome back. And I'm curious, we have some time now for some questions or sharing or comments. So anything you'd like to bring, ask, or share. Good if you raise your hand. So use the participants button or the reactions button. I think either work. Yeah, either of them have got a raise hand option. Just to raise your hand. Yeah, Sharon, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, hello.
Hi, Sharon, good to see you.
Good to see you. Yeah, so one of the things that I've just been finding really irritating is this occupation of other people in my head. You know, like somebody has taken up residency in my head.
Oh.
And, you know, all the thoughts sort of surrounding. And it's always people, you know, who there's some sort of difficulty with, or
So that's interesting. So there's a sense that somebody else is very strongly in your consciousness, and then there's lots of thoughts and thoughts around that.
Yeah, and I really hate it. You know, it feels like a kind of constriction or a kind of feeling of being in the way, that I just want them out of the way.
I see. So there's something that's showing up in your experience, right? And then you're you want it out the way. So what ideas do you have about it that make you want it out the way?
Well, I did a bit of inquiry yesterday, and, you know, actually then I could feel it kind of in my body as well. So it's like a sort of clinging, kind of constricting kind of feeling that feels like it's sort of blocking something.
Okay.
And, you know, that if it wasn't there, I would feel freer, you know, I would feel more freedom.
Right, right. And so that brings up some kind of hatred, like you want to really get rid of it. And is it okay for you to experience that hatred? Like to feel that feeling, like how much you hate it?
Well, what I did ended up yesterday was I actually thanked it.
Okay, what made you do that?
Well, I was doing it with my therapist actually, and she ended up suggesting maybe that I thanked it.
I see. But you were feeling like you hate it, like you don't want it to be there.
Yeah, I felt really, really sick of it. And I mean, but actually by thanking it, I felt emotion, and it seemed to dissolve somewhat. But it feels, I don't know if I hate it, but I just feel really irritated by it.
Irritated. So to check here, Sharon, is it, do you think it's okay to feel irritated with it, or do you think you should feel something else, like grateful to it, or do you have some ideas about that feeling?
Well, underneath the irritation, there's sadness.
Okay, hang on, no, back up. I asked you about the irritation. Like,
Yeah.
you're okay to allow the irritation, or do you think it shouldn't be there?
No, I mean, it's okay. I was quite familiar feeling the irritation.
Okay, so as familiar means you've felt it before and you have some ideas about it.
Yeah.
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 Did that stop you allowing the feeling of irritation? Like, could you actually allow yourself to feel the irritation and the energy of it?
I think so. I mean, I think what the irritation builds up and up and up, and it feels like a sort of really high-pitched kind of energy.
Mm.
And then I feel it in my body.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also an irritation of myself, I think.
Okay, so there's lots of irritation here.
But it's like my superego is going, so fucking stupid.
Okay. Right. So you can see there's a lot going on here. For now, all I want to highlight for you are just the ideas that you have about them, right? So even the irritation, even the superego judgment contains ideas, right, about these things, about how they should or shouldn't go, or whether they're okay, that may interfere in just allowing you to kind of get interested. Well, even irritation, what is it like if I let myself just feel and directly explore the energy of that in an open way, right? So for now, for the purposes of this evening, that's the thing I just want to point to, right? The way that the ideas might lead you to either move away from it or to change it, or to do something other than just explore it in an open way. Yeah. So you can see how knowing that might allow you to explore it differently. The more you can see those ideas, the better.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, great.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. You're welcome, Sharon. Yeah, David, go ahead.
All right. In the repeating question part, I discovered that I have a lot of ideas about every experience. It doesn't matter whether it's a big experience, a significant experience, or a little, I have a lot of ideas about it.
Yeah. How is it to see that?
It was a surprise.
So you didn't know you had all these ideas.
I didn't know I had so many.
Yes.
And in the what it led to is in the discussion, the question arose for me. So when I'm in the middle of experiencing, are those ideas around all the time and I don't notice them? Are they like mixed in with the experience? Or they in some way? Doesn't feel like they're limiting it. It doesn't feel like I'm in a box. I don't feel any. But where are they when I'm not asked the question about them? Because they were immediately there when I was asked the question. So they must be there already.
Right.
But I couldn't work that out.
That's a very good observation. So it's true that a lot of our ideas, right, we just think that's how it is. So your inquiry just flows through the shapes of those ideas and you don't even realize it. It doesn't even occur to you that some of that is just ideas. Right?
Yeah, that's right. The first experience I had was sadness. And when I'm feeling sad, I don't have all those ideas present in my awareness at the time.
Yes.
Or if they are there, I'm not conscious of them.
Yes.
So that feels like more like the truth, that I'm just not conscious of the feelings I have about it.
Very
and
good.
I don't know whether it's shaping. Actually, that's for the truth. I don't know whether.
Actually, don't know.
I don't know whether it's shaping or not.
Very good. So that kind of points then to the possibility that every now and again, as you're inquiring, you land with something, with feeling, sensation, experience, whatever. You land with something, you can kind of check in. Oh, what idea, what do I think I know about this? Or what ideas do I have about this? And just see. It's like shining the flashlight around the water and seeing, well, is there anything here that I'm, not immediately aware of?
Yeah, my instinct is it is limiting my experience, because one thing that arose in the exploring of that with my partner was suddenly I felt very much more spacious. That's usually a hint that there was something having me feel not spacious just before.
Exactly. So
but it needs some further inquiring.
It does, yeah. Do you sense the spaciousness now?
Yes, the spaciousness is present now.
What's the spaciousness like? Describe that.
It has an openness, a lightness, expansiveness. It's easy I feel relaxed in it.
Oh. Isn't that interesting?
There's an ease that's present, a quality of ease.
Yeah.
All of that's present.
Beautiful.
And if you ask me, do I have some thoughts about that? I immediately have some thoughts about that. It's really pervasive. It's interesting.
Very good. It is indeed.
Well, thank you. You've kicked off something really interesting for me.
Super welcome, David. That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah. Enjoy. Yeah, Sue.
Hi, Don. So I was really impacted by your talk. And when the question came, tell me what you're experiencing, there was this visceral pull to go, what actually happened with this impact that I had? Because I didn't really know what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
I just was like impacted on several levels.
Mm.
And then what your thoughts about it was, well, you're in the past now, you should be in the here and now. That's already happened. What are you experiencing now? And then the next round was, well, I'm experiencing this visceral pull to go and understand what happened 5 minutes ago.
Very good.
And that, you know, and then as the inquiry went on, it came as a sort of, well, what's the difference between thoughts about experience and experience?
Yeah. Yeah. So you point to something that's, I think, a very common misunderstanding. And we talk about it a little bit. We spoke about it a while ago in terms of the checking in thing, right? So when we say exploring what's present, sometimes that means exactly what's here right now, right? It's like in the moment you've tumbled into the water and that's what's here right now and that's what you're exploring. But the truth is that sometimes it is something that happened 10 minutes ago or yesterday, you know, and the point is it's got to pull on you now, right? So that's here right now. So you can feel the draw towards it. And probably if that's happening, if you begin to talk about it and you wonder, well, what am I interested in? What's drawing me about it? You will get closer to that experience and something may start to come alive in you, right? So that's like the fish that's not right here, but it's over there and you can see it and it's still calling to you. So it's possible to swim over to it and go and explore it. That's a totally legitimate, you know, that's a totally legitimate element of inquiry.
And then noticing that the thought actually had the thought about wanting that also had a bodily thing associated with it. So it wasn't just the mind.
Yes.
There was actually a physical element, like a totality.
That's wonderful that you mentioned that. Yes, because we often tend to think that our mind are just these thoughts that don't have, but it's not the case, right? They are thoughts, they are ideas, but they have a profound impact on our experience. They make us feel certain ways. They make our bodies contract in various ways, all based on our ideas and our thoughts. So it really is, yeah, very powerful to become aware of that.
Or the other way around, they can be reflecting a feeling in the body, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
In a way, you can say the ideas in the minds and the tensions in the bodies are just different manifestations of one underlying phenomenon.
Yeah.
They're not separate. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
Great questions. Thanks, Sue. Yeah, Diana.
I became really aware of how really instant the commentary is and how much it's based on preferences. I don't want this, I want that, and it shouldn't be like this, and how that creates an unsettled being banged around.
Yes.
And then I was discerning between sometimes the content could be quite correct. I mean, there's nothing wrong to say, I don't want to have pain.
Mm-hmm.
But to discern how I was saying it,
Yes.
or how I was thinking it, makes a very different feeling inside if it gives me space or not.
I see. Yes. Yes. It's
And
really
then I realized
interesting, like when we notice that kind of inner dialogue happening, like the thoughts or the preferences or so, you know, it's kind of different. You might notice where it is, like sometimes it's over here or it's there or in your head somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, you can check that out. To really make space for the possibility that, like, oh, some part of me is thinking this. right? Some part of me is thinking this. So what if I just kind of, can go, okay, hello, hi. So what is this part of me that's kind of having that, or this part of my experience that's having that thought? Right? What's it thinking? How is it feeling? Right? It may turn out to be like those little trail of thoughts are just kind of the entryway into a whole thing underneath that's happening there.
Yeah, that is true, because a couple of times it unfolded more, and then clearly I ended up with my mother or this or that, or the old experience, or
Yes.
I will never be liked. So that it's true that to
Yeah.
see each sentence, each thought is actually just the tip of the iceberg of a huge thing underneath.
That's beautiful. I love how you said that. Yes, exactly. So rather than making the thoughts the problem and thinking, oh, I want to get rid of my thoughts, no, we can just go like, oh, wow, there's the doorway. Like if I just notice, oh, there are these thoughts. Where's that coming from? What's the part of me that's thinking that? And as you said, that will start taking you down. Next thing you know, object relations, history, feelings, reaction, like all presence, a whole lot starts unfolding. And in the meantime, we were just sitting there thinking, oh, there's this irritating voice in my meditation that won't leave me alone, right?
Yeah, it was. And also where I went was I suddenly found some humor in that ping-ponging. It was like a messy party. They're all turning up and fight for power and attention. And it was actually funny, and that dropped me out. And suddenly I saw it just as content in space.
Yes.
And then I had the blackness, the stillness in the background, and there is just this noisy stuff going on all the time. And I could go down one of the windows, but also suddenly I shifted location.
Yes, exactly.
And I was also somewhere else, and suddenly I usually go here because it feels often it's on the left side up here somewhere.
Yeah.
And it looked actually quite funny.
Wonderful.
And then the idea comes, if I have no ideas, expectation, it would just become very simple and still. Then the pain is just pain.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly the voice comes, yes, but. And it was like so funny to see how this structure just appearing and making noise.
Yes. Yeah, very good.
It is in space.
So isn't it interesting? I mean, second person is mentioned that as you become aware of the thoughts, as you actually give space to them, let them be there and notice them rather than either just engaging in them and getting lost in them, that seems to bring more space, right? So
Yes.
Notice. Yeah, wonderful. Great experience.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Are we for time? Yeah, Sergio.
Hi, Dominic.
Hi.
First time here. So first thing, I want to thank you for your talk. It was really inspiring. And in the exercise, what was just want to share that it was for the first time very clear for me what is having the experience and all the luggage that I bring with the idea to the experience, associating with past stuff and everything. So it was really clear doing this repeating questions to see them in a separate way. What was the experience and the influence that it was having upon it, the thoughts and the expectations. And what I noticed also was the fears that I have, the fear that something probably will happen in this kind of situations. And so it really limits the possibilities, as you were saying, of what I expect and what I eventually help to construct, along the interaction then with the people. So it was really, really nice to see that in a clear way.
You're smiling a lot as you describe it. How is it affecting you to see this?
I feel happy with it because I can have more awareness. And so, because most of this is unconscious processes and stuff. So it was limiting, and it was giving a sense of, I don't know what's going on, but it's like a tunnel, you know, I can only go this way.
Yes.
It's just one possibility almost. And so I think I'm smiling because it frees up the space, you know, or in terms of possibilities. So it was really nice. And also I wanted to add that one experience that I've been having lately, that it's quite new in the heart area, and I brought it. And so I didn't have much ideas about it. It was interesting because I wanted to, what is this? I was just, I don't know.
Oh.
It's new, you know.
So that's the flip side. I mean, we didn't talk much about short little teaching. We can only focus on a little piece. But of course, the flip side of all the knowing is the not knowing, right? And how in inquiry, especially whenever there's new experience, as we expose what we think we know about it, that makes the possibility for approaching the experience like, I actually have no idea about this, right? I don't know. Let me find out. And then all we can do is come to the immediacy of the experience and see what we can tell directly from it.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful.
That's it. Thank you.
I'm glad it makes you happy. Yeah, Leo, let's one more.
Yeah, I noticed when I was mentioning the idea I have about my experience, it was quite, I like it, I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
I like that, I don't like that. And it's funny because it makes me in touch with a sense of soul child in that.
Oh, okay.
So like a bit a young part who says, that's good, let's go for that. And that's not good, let's not go there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just noticed that, and it made me in touch, I don't know, with the soul child in some way.
Yes, 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 beautiful. So just exposing again the pattern of thoughts, you actually follow them down to where they're coming from inside you, right? And that's right. Feelings, preferences, young parts of us. That's wonderful. Of course, then you might have ideas about that, or you might get to explore that soul child, get to know that soul child a little more.
Yes. And I can notice it's attached liking to it.
Yeah, okay, so it's a soul child that can like, right?
Yeah.
Like and not like. Well, I mean, isn't that a fascinating capacity, right? Oh, it's a soul child that can like things and not like things.
Yeah.
You might have some ideas about that. I'm wondering, as I see you here, do you have some kind of opinions about whether that's a good thing or not?
I don't know. I'm more in the feeling now. I feel a bit. I feel more warmth, and like the feeling is more now in my experience. So it's probably, I don't. What I could say, it's maybe the idea I have about the mind. Maybe for my soul child, the mind is a big adult thing, very complex. So for my soul child, like, good or bad, that's simple.
Right. Yeah.
So it's how I see now. It's like maybe my soul child doesn't like the mind because it's complex and there is lots of idea and it's complex. So maybe it's how I see the adult, you know, it's like complex idea, thoughts, no feeling. Yeah,
maybe. Yeah, that sounds good. Good to get in touch, to follow it down to that part of you. And then you
thank you.
More about that. Yeah, great, Leo. Thanks. Good, everybody. So that kind of brings us to time, bang on time. Yeah, lovely being with you. And, you know, these are just such short little snippets. But hopefully you learn something useful about your practice. As I said, we share and post the recordings, so the teachings are out there. And if you want to point other people to the library on the website, it's all at divein.life. We have a course running now, started yesterday, the first session. But if people want to join, that's still a possibility. And Susan has posted it all in the chat. So I think you can find all the details there. We will be doing our next dive-in session on the 12th of October. And it's the same link, so you don't have to go scratching around for it, but we'll send it out in the email anyway. All righty, 3 questions. Next topic, dive in with Dom. It's a mystery. I actually haven't decided yet. So we're all going to find out in the next couple of weeks what that is. And yes, thank you. You're welcome, everybody. Thank you to Susan too for all of her help. Have a wonderful ongoing adventure and discovery, and see you next time. Night, everybody.